face and voice of Africa. The story of resurgent and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel. Pulse of Africa, the face and voice of Africa.
What has been your experience of travel? Which countries have you visited and which destinations do you love the most? POA has spoken to Jamie Alman, an international traveler who has journeyed through all 193 countries of the world. Jamie Alman describes Africa as truly unique. Good evening and welcome to POA Evening News. I'm Tansaya Gabeao. Stay tuned. Panamanian globetrotter Jamie Alman has written a new chapter in the history of human exploration, becoming the first person to achieve the Grand Slam of travel, visiting all 193 UN-recognized countries, reaching both the North and South Poles, and traveling to the edge of outer space. Alman completed the final leg of the feat in May of this year with a suborbital flight aboard Blue Origin, which rocketed him to the Kármán line, 107 kilometers from Earth. During an interview with Pulse of Africa, while celebrating his 72nd birthday in Ethiopia, Alman confirmed the achievement, stating that his research showed he was the 13th person to complete the country and pole combination, but the first of those 13 to also journey into space. He called the 10-minute space trip the most extraordinary experience, very moving, very spiritual, even better than I imagined.
May of this year, so I started doing a lot of training, preparation. It's a challenge. It's scary to get on that rocket. You're going up at like 4,000 kilometers an hour, 5,000 kilometers, and coming down like at 6,000 or 7,000 kilometers. But it was the most extraordinary experience. It's only a 10-minute flight. Space is called the Kármán line, 100 kilometers from Earth. Once you pass 100 kilometers, you're in space. We went up to 107 kilometers. And then came back on a free fall. You're going so fast, and you're just sitting there and saying, amazing, incredible. And then you hit the atmosphere, pow! And when you hit the atmosphere, the capsule slows down, and then about 10 or 15 seconds afterwards, the parachutes open. Pow! The first parachute, pow! The second parachute, pow! The third parachute. You say, Jesus, I'm home free. We're going to survive. We're going to live. And then 3 minutes later, you land very softly at 3 miles an hour. And then that was, in 3 minutes, the summary of my travel life, and a fantastic, blessed life to have been able to do all these things.
Alman's lifelong passion for travel began in his youth, but his deep connection to Africa started on a university boat trip 50 years ago. He empathetically calls Africa his favorite continent by far, adding, "This is where I found my soul when I came to Africa at 20 years of age."
To Africa, and so we stopped first in Morocco, then in Côte d'Ivoire, then in Ghana, and then the most magical place, like Tanzania also, South Africa, Table Mountain, everything up there. I was mesmerized. I fell in love with Africa, and I have to tell you, Africa, and you can ask anybody, is my favorite continent by far. 2 years ago, when I turned 70 years old, I told my wife, we're going to have a party for you. I said, no party. We're going to Tanzania with the whole family. We went to Tanzania to reconnect with my previous trips to Africa.
His devotion is evident in his choice of birthday celebrations. Having celebrated his 70th in Tanzania and 72nd in Addis Ababa, he offered a powerful validation of the continent's development, calling the Ethiopian capital a mega metropolis and an incredible city that has consolidated itself as the real capital of Africa.
I came to Ethiopia about 7 years ago to the Siemen Mountains National Park. And it was just so beautiful, and Gandar and Lake Tana, that Africa just keeps drawing me back. And now I am so lucky to turn 72 years of age, the day before yesterday, also in Africa. Addis Ababa today is a mega metropolis, an incredible city. It's one of the best cities that you can imagine anywhere in the world. It's so much progress in the last 7 years since I came. I had stayed at this very same hotel. It's a wonderful hotel, world-class hotel. The people are so nice. The climate cannot be better, and then all the history and all the energy, all the progress, all the success. So congratulations.
He further noted the visible progress, citing the sheer number of Ethiopian Airlines planes at the airport as a sign of real progress. Beyond the adventure, Alman shared profound philosophical lessons gathered from traversing the globe. He observed that three elements are universally present and unite all societies: religion, sports, and music. Commenting on global challenges, Alman spoke directly about the climate crisis, having witnessed the widespread melting at the North Pole and disappearing glaciers. He warned that water scarcity is a severe threat, suggesting that the future wars will be about water, and called for an urgent solution to the problem of plastic pollution. The newly appointed Forestries, Fisheries and Environment Minister of South Africa, Willie Aucamp, says his immediate priority is to create jobs. Willie Aucamp was speaking after his swearing-in at the Union Buildings in Pretoria. President Cyril Ramaphosa appointed Aucamp last week, along with Alexandra Lillian Amelia Abrams, who is the Trade, Industry and Competition Deputy Minister. Aucamp, who is the former DA spokesperson, says he wants to make his department an economic portfolio for the people of South Africa. It is not true that we cannot have this portfolio as an economic portfolio. We have forestry, fisheries, and we have the national parks. All of them contribute to the GDP of the country, and we must balance between what the community wants and what it is in the best interest with nature, and to have that sustainably done for many years. And I am looking forward to work with all stakeholders to really make a success of getting communities and the environment together sustainably for everybody and for many years and centuries to come. President Cyril Ramaphosa presiding over the swearing-in ceremony of the new members of the National Executive at the Union Buildings, Pretoria. The National Council of Societies for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals has welcomed the confirmation of Mr. Willie Aucamp as Minister of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, while expressing ongoing concern over his publicly reported ties to the trophy hunting and captive wildlife organizations.
They shaped history. They inspired generations. They are the notables. Join us as we honor Africa's greatest minds and trailblazers, the notables, celebrating Africa's icons.
Nigeria's Securities and Exchange Commission, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria collaborate to tackle housing deficit. Nigeria's Securities and Exchange Commission and the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria have announced a strategic collaboration to develop a robust non-interest mortgage ecosystem. According to a statement by Securities and Exchange Commission, the partnership is aimed at tackling the Nigerian massive housing deficit and deepening financial inclusion. The partnership, unveiled at a high-level meeting in Abuja, seeks to create and regulate viable Sharia complaint financing structures that will enable millions of Nigerians, particularly those excluded from conventional interest-based loans, to access affordable home ownership. The statement stated that the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. Imomo Timi Agama, explained that the Commission's role is ensuring the integrity and stability of the proposed financial instruments, and that Securities and Exchange Commission would provide the necessary regulatory guidance and framework to facilitate the issuance of sukuk and other non-interest capital market products to fund these mortgages. Our collaboration with the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria is pivotal to unlocking long-term financing for the housing sector, Agama said. By creating a clear regulatory pathway for non-interest mortgage-backed securities, we can attract ethical investors, both domestic and international, to channel funds into these critical areas. This will create a virtuous cycle of funding, construction, and ownership. It added that the Chief Executive Officer of Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Shehu OCD, said, "For a long time, a sustainable number of our citizens have been unable to participate in the National Housing Fund scheme due to the interest-based nature of the conventional mortgages. This partnership with the Securities and Exchange Commission is a strategic response to that gap. We are committed to developing non-interest mortgage products that are not only ethical and inclusive, but also financially sustainable." Nigeria's housing deficit is estimated to be over 20 million units, with finance being one of the major barriers to home ownership. Ethiopia's Artificial Intelligence Institute expands roles in health, agriculture, and services. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has announced that the Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute has become a key force in advancing health, agriculture, and service sectors as its technological capacity continues to grow. In a message shared on his social media page, the Prime Minister highlighted that the Institute is strengthening its work in cloud computing, big data, data mining, robotics, and immersive technologies. He emphasized that AI interventions are now driving innovation across multiple sectors while building capabilities in large-scale data centers and advancing digital infrastructure. Abiy confirmed that the Institute has relocated its headquarters to the former Ethiopian Broadcasting Corporation building in the city center. He noted that the complex underwent an extraordinary infrastructural transformation in less than a year, resulting in an ergonomically advanced and highly conducive work environment for employees. According to the Prime Minister, the Institute has achieved notable milestones within just 5 years, reflecting the rapid pace at which artificial intelligence is reshaping society and underscoring Ethiopia's determination to participate in the global technological competition. He further announced the launch of an AI startup center designed to strengthen the innovation ecosystem by enabling individuals to present ideas, develop prototypes, and connect with private sector investors. So far, 200 innovators have benefited from this initiative, marking a significant step in fostering entrepreneurship and technological advancement in the country. Now let us shift to business news. Rising investor confidence fuels expansion of Rwanda's industrial parks. The Rwandan government is intensifying efforts to attract more investors to its network of industrial parks as part of a broader push to spur job creation, boost exports, and strengthen the country's position as a competitive investment hub. Rwanda currently hosts 10 industrial parks and special economic zones, including 2 special economic zones in Kigali and Bugesera, and 8 industrial parks. More than 320 factories have been established across these parks, with over 70% fully operational and the remainder under development. 4 parks have been prioritized under the second national strategy for transformation. The Ministry of Trade and Industry estimates that fully developing infrastructure across all industrial parks will require approximately $130 million. Due to fiscal constraints, the government is implementing a phased development approach, beginning with the 4 priority parks. Despite ongoing global uncertainties, our industries and private sector have remained resilient to global shocks. Through close collaboration with the private sector, development partners, and key stakeholders, we have continued to build a dynamic and enabling business environment that supports entrepreneurship, attracts investment, and promotes industrial transformation, said Prudence Sabahizi, Minister of Trade and Industry. In the 2025 to 2026 fiscal year, the government will inject 10 billion Rwandan francs into clearing land and building basic infrastructure in the priority parks, an investment expected to attract and support new industrial ventures. Tanzania embarks on rail-linked economy to drive national growth. President Samia Suluhu Hassan has announced a sweeping national infrastructure agenda aimed at transforming Tanzania into a rail-linked economy that will drive trade, investment, and industrial growth across the country. Speaking during the inauguration of Parliament in Dodoma, she outlined a comprehensive strategy to ensure railway lines become vibrant economic corridors, generating opportunities along their routes. As part of the urban transit solutions, the president revealed plans to introduce modern commuter train systems in Dar es Salaam and Dodoma to ease congestion in rapidly growing cities. She emphasized that Dar es Salaam alone is projected to reach a population of 10 million people by 2030, requiring efficient mass transit solutions. Road and port infrastructure will also be upgraded in partnership with investors. TAN roads will intensify construction and rehabilitation to connect all district headquarters with tarmac roads. In Dar es Salaam, new flyovers will be built at Morocco, Menugwe, and Tabata intersections, while the remaining phases of the bus rapid transit system will be completed alongside strengthening UDART's operational capacity. The long-awaited Misimbazi River Bridge at Jangwani will also be finalized. On rail development, the government reaffirmed its commitment to fast-tracking investment in the standard gauge railway along the Central Corridor. Furthermore, the Rural and Urban Roads Agency will see increased budget and operational capacity to improve rural and urban roads, ensuring year-round accessibility and enabling farmers to reach markets more easily. Tanzania is embarking on one of its most ambitious infrastructure drives yet, with railways at the heart of its economic transformation. The plan integrates rail, road, and port development to build a competitive, interconnected national economy capable of supporting long-term growth. Finally, Morocco earns a double nomination for CAF National Team of the Year. The Confederation of African Football has revealed the finalists for the 2025 National Team of the Year award in the men's category. Morocco stands out with a double nomination as both the senior national team and the U20 squad made the shortlist. This is another achievement for Moroccan football, showing its strength across different age groups. The senior team earned its place through consistent performance in the AFCON qualifiers and international friendlies, building on their historic 2022 World Cup run, where they became the first African team to reach the semifinals. The Atlas Lions continued to break records. In 2025, they became the first African nation to officially qualify for the 2026 World Cup, securing their spot with games to spare. Morocco also set a new world record with 16 consecutive wins, surpassing the previous mark held by Spain and Germany. They currently rank 12th in the FIFA World Rankings, the highest among African teams. The U20 team made history by winning the FIFA U20 World Cup, defeating Argentina 2-0 in the final. It was Morocco's first world title and the first for any Arab nation. The victory also made Morocco only the second African country to win the tournament after Ghana in 2009. Morocco previously won the CAF National Team of the Year award in 2022 and 2023. The women's team was also honored in 2022, marking a breakthrough for female football in the country. The winners will be announced at the CAF Awards 2025 ceremony in Rabat on Wednesday, November 19. Let's take a look at the current weather forecast and what conditions to expect across the region. That's all from PAO News for the hour. Thank you for joining us and stay tuned for more updates from Africa.
Good evening and welcome. Tonight, we turn our focus to the African Union, the continental body that unites all 55 member states and serves as the collective voice of Africa. Established in 2002 as the successor to the Organization of African Unity, the AU was founded on the enduring vision of Pan-African solidarity, peace and sustainable development. The Union's mandate is both ambitious and precise: to promote peace and security, to advance political and economic integration, to safeguard the sovereignty of its members, and to drive inclusive growth through its long-term strategic framework, Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. In practice, the AU is actively shaping Africa's future. It conducts peacekeeping operations in conflict-affected regions, spearheads continental trade and integration through the African Continental Free Trade Area, and invests heavily in youth empowerment infrastructure and climate resilience. Importantly, the AU collaborates with global institutions to align Agenda 2063 with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, ensuring Africa's priorities are firmly embedded within the international agenda. Partnerships with international organizations are indispensable to achieving these objectives. Among them, the United Nations remains a pivotal ally. Together, the AU and UN are advancing cooperation across critical domains including peace and security, sustainable development, climate change, artificial intelligence, and global governance. Tonight, in our POA In-Depth, we examine this evolving partnership between the African Union and the United Nations. We'll also share insights from UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, who has consistently underscored the importance of strengthening collaboration between these two institutions. Let's begin. The African Union, AU, serves as a pivotal continental organization aimed at promoting unity and cooperation among African nations. Its primary objectives include fostering economic development, enhancing peace and security. By addressing key challenges, the African Union strives to create a prosperous and integrated Africa for all its citizens.
How our cooperation developed during these years and how it became more than the signature of common positions, ad hoc common actions. This cooperation became an institutionalized cooperation in which all key areas of our common intervention, peace and security, sustainable development and human rights, we have common programs, common strategies, and we work together very effectively in the perspective that unites us. And the perspective that unites us is of an African continent that is able to provide to its citizens all the rights that they should enjoy, and in the context of a world able to overcome the terrible divisions that we are facing today.
Africans, through their continental organization, continue to strive for a world that is fair and just, one that treats all members of the global community with equality.
There are now conditions for the international community to start providing justice to the African people. First of all, in relation to the questions of peace and security, there is now a consensus of member states that the Security Council must be reformed, and there is a consensus about all member states that the key aspect of that reform is to have 2 African members as permanent members of the Security Council. And on the other hand, many decisions were taken in relation to the capacity to deepen our cooperation with the African Union in areas like prevention, mediation, peace building, and the capacity to act together to address the multiple conflicts that today the African continent, as the whole world, unfortunately, are dealing with.
Africa is rich in natural resources, yet the continent has struggled to fully utilize these resources for the benefit of its people and the global community. A significant barrier to achieving this is the prevailing inequalities in the global financial system. International financial institutions and other essential global entities have been designed in a manner that does not adequately support the needs of all people around the world. In this regard, the United Nations is advocating for the rights of Africans in the international stages.
First time, there was the recognition that we live in an economic system and a financial system that is outdated, that is ineffective, and that is unfair. And it is especially ineffective and unfair because of the African continent. Africa faces enormous obstacles to its development. First of all, they are deeply rooted in the past, deeply rooted in the colonial legacy.
Fair-minded international financial system is important instrument to bring sustainable development and mitigate the adverse effects of climate change in the world.
International financial architecture must be corrected and must be corrected to give more voice and more power to developing countries in general, of course African countries in particular, and to mobilize much more resources, the SDG stimulus, to reduce the debt and to create the conditions for sustainable development and for climate action in mitigation and adaptation to the benefit of developing countries.
The partnership between the African Union and the United Nations can serve as a powerful platform for advocating for Africa's interests on the global stage. By presenting a united front, these organizations can more effectively influence international policies and mobilize support for initiatives that benefit the continent.
To do a serious research to allow to contribute to the creation of an African strategy to bridge the digital divide and the artificial intelligence divide, and to overcome all the enormous structural difficulties and impediments that exist today, and be able to claim the resources that will be necessary for this to be possible, and for the digital world and the artificial intelligence not to be another factor of inequality, but to be a factor to allow to catch up, and for the African continent to move, as it has done in the past, more fast in development, to be able to provide the best conditions for their citizens.
Strengthening this cooperation not only empowers African nations, but also contributes to a more equitable and just global order, where the needs and aspirations of all regions are acknowledged and addressed.